talk through something that happened recently, which was I found out that I was donor conceived. As someone with health anxiety, the biggest thing that came to my mind was health stuff. Hi guys, how's it going? It's been a little bit of a while since I've done a video, I think over a month. And I wanted to just explain why, because I was really being consistent. I was doing a meditation every Tuesday and a video every Friday, sort of keeping up this vibe of Ease with John, which is my channel, which makes life all a little bit easier, and just sort of separating my music and my other stuff that I do to other channels. However, July got a little bit chaotic. I ended up working in Germany for a couple of weeks, which was great, and I ended up having a lot of other personal stuff on. And one of the reasons why I decided to do this video is because that is also one of the things that I had going on the last month, and I've just really not had a lot of space or energy to keep up with my YouTube videos. So it's okay, I'm being kind to myself, and I'm going to get back on it because I really enjoy the consistency of posting every Friday. I feel like it gives me a little chance to be creative and share something and keep the channel alive and build. So that's what I'm planning on doing. But I just felt like this video is important because, one, even though it felt quite personal to maybe more than some of the other stuff that I've shared, and I was debating a lot whether I wanted to do this video. It's only been a month since I found this out, but one, it explains part of the reason why I've not really had the mental energy alongside all the busyness of my life the last month to post a video. But two, I think in the past, sharing stuff about my health anxiety, sharing stuff that's been going on in my life, getting a response from people who share similar things helps me. And then it also makes me feel good because I think conversations and honesty make everyone feel a little bit less alone. So that's why I wanted to do this video. And I'm not going to delve too much into the personal aspects about it, but just talk through something that happened recently, which was I found out that I was donor conceived. And it was a bit of a shock without getting into much of the personal stuff about it. I was in Germany leading a young person theatre camp, and surrounded by kids. I get a text from a relative's ex-girlfriend that telling me this, and I was like, surely not. And then it turns out, after a lot of thought and a lot of just thinking through conversations and debating, do I wait until I get back to England after a couple of weeks, or do I just speak to my parents, my mum and my dad, about it? It turns out that it was true. I already knew that I was an IVF baby, did not see that as anything negative. If anything, I saw that as always a positive thing, and was confused at why they kept it from me, because I was like, it's not a bad thing to know that you were wanted and that you were wanted so badly that we went to do this. That's such a nice feeling. And so I never saw that as a bad thing, but then a lot of our conversations kind of had a different meaning now, and something in my heart just felt like it was right, even though it felt like the rug was pulled underneath me before I even spoke to my parents to confirm it. Just something was niggling at me, it just felt like, even though it was just such a niche lie, but also it was just beyond, it was just something beyond me was telling me that this was something that was true, and that wasn't just some random lie that was being told to me by someone I barely know. So it was not the nicest way to find out, but anyway. I had a conversation with my parents, and it turns out that they did this thing where you can swirl half my dad's sperm and then half this sperm donor's sperm. And at the time, it was the 90s. This is like a week after I turned 30, I found this out, so I was just like, what a weird way to start my 30s, because I've got this identity that I'm an only child, and this story that I've given myself of growing up, and I'll go into it a bit more as I talk through where I am now, but I feel like it's that identity of this is my story, And then suddenly that not being true just felt initially really overwhelming. And I think it took me it's only been a month, but only a good couple of weeks to really get to grasps of what that means. Am I overreacting? Am I underreacting? I still don't really know how to feel about it, and I didn't then. I just wanted the truth, because my parents told me that they were told in the 90s that, it was told not to sweep things under the rug and not to tell. But I had a lot of conflicting feelings, because clearly people in my life, my whole life, have known about this, and my parents, and it just kind of gave this double meaning to all of those conversations. Some lots of conversations over those few weeks came back to my head and had a different meaning now. Some people who aren't even with us anymore came back to me, and on that topic, thinking about my parents themselves, and if they wouldn't have been here for me to have this conversation with them, how difficult that would have been. This video is going to be a lot of me just rambling my experience, because and maybe I'll do a bit more cohesive videos afterwards. But basically, I got back from Germany. Felt really weird at first. Then I did see my parents, and I felt a world better after chatting with them. Had a really healthy conversations with them, despite I think a bit of that feeling at first of almost like it being swept under the rug. But then I had a really good, healthy conversation about how this meant to me, and I think conversations with family and stuff are always really difficult, aren't they? So for me, it was really difficult to navigate my own feelings, and try and prioritize them over thinking, oh, how do I break the news of my own DNA to other people? So that was a big thing. But anyway, so I found out that I was donor conceived, we think, most likely. I did a DNA test with Ancestry. You've probably seen it on this channel, like a while ago. And you might be like, why? Surely you would have found out. And I did think it was interesting at the time, because there was no matches with any of my paternal side of the family. Just like names I've never heard, like cousins and stuff. And then the ethnicity was not Irish. There was no Irish from the parental side, and I did think that was odd, because both of my grandparents on my dad's side are Irish, but I just didn't think about it, because it's just beyond something that I would ever think is a thing, because that's my story that I knew. And I then contacted is it HFEA, I think is called, which is in the United Kingdom, where you can find out, because I was clueless, knew nothing about donor conceived people, knew nothing about donors, knew nothing about what you could find out. Clueless, never thought about it, because it's just not been in my reality at all, or anything that I knew. And I then I contacted straight away, because I did know that I wanted to know straight away. Well, firstly, I contacted them to find out if it was true, but then I spoke to my parents, found out that it's true. So then I changed my application to, I want to know everything that you have, basically. I want to know anything you have on the donor, if they've given their anonymity, anything, siblings, all of it. And it said it was going to take 8 months. So I was like, oh, that's a long time. So I was kind of like a bit deflated by that. But it came back in 5 days, which I was just amazed by. And within the 5 days, I got some information back about my donor. Nothing identifiable, because basically if it's from 1995 to, I think it's 2005? Oh, sorry, 1991 to 2005. I can find out non-identifiable information, but unless they choose to change their anonymity, I'll never know who that person is unless I found it another way, basically. So it was just a lot to process while I was working in Germany. Like, I was trying to process all of this and figure out that. But that's something that I knew straight away. I just wanted to know everything. Turns out that I have 7 half siblings as well. It's still crazy me saying this. It doesn't feel like it's real, because I've just got such an identity of being an only child. And I'm very much a person who believes that your families, not the people who you are blood related to anyway. It's people who you've got these deep connections with, your siblings, your friends, and the people who you've spent your life with. And I know people who have siblings and are closer to me than their own siblings. So I'm very aware of that. But it's still mad. It's just a really mad thing. And they were all around my age, 1995, 1996. And that's mad. And, all these thoughts go through your mind, like, have I crossed paths with one of them? Have I seen one of them? Like, all of these questions, because I didn't know who they were. And unfortunately, on the system, none of them had registered. So it unfortunately meant that none of them had a connection with... Like, none of them had been open to find a connection with one of their other siblings, I was really shocked. So 7, so either they don't know themselves, or they have known from a young age, and then they've just decided, they're not really that interested because their family's their family. Fair enough, but I don't know. And that's the tricky thing. Or are they like me? Are they like their parents told them from a young age, didn't tell them from a young age because they were told... this is your dad, and he is your dad, but just go along with that narrative. It'll cause pain, it'll cause whatever. Even though I think research and myself thinks that, I think it's not someone else. I think something like your DNA isn't someone else's, shouldn't be in the hands of someone else to make that decision over the agency of whether you know or don't know, is my personal take on it. And I think that's why from 2005 to now, it's different. I think on the anonymity, I think there's less mystery about the donor. I think if you want to find your donor, I think it's a lot more straightforward. But unfortunately, being a 90s baby, I've got some brief information about the donor, but that's it. I just know that he was a student, a few of the basic stuff, and he and kind of getting that story of, maybe needing some extra money. It's just mad, isn't it? So that's where I'm at. I did Ancestry, and then I look back over some of the matches, and maybe when I've got that energy properly, I'll look properly over it. But unfortunately, there's no close matches. It's a lot of second cousins, third cousins, that kind of stuff. So I do want to know who the half siblings are, but unfortunately on Ancestry, and I then put my data, which you can do your DNA from Ancestry for free on MyHeritage. So there's 3 main ones: Ancestry, MyHeritage, and 23andMe. So I did that for free, and unfortunately, again, no matches on my parental side, just on my maternal side. To me, it doesn't mean anything. Like, my dad's my dad. He raised me. I had a great family unit growing up. Obviously, it would have been great to know, but I don't know how I would have reacted at a different time in my life. I'm a very different person to the person I was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I'm handling it, I think, really well. I almost don't feel much about it, which is really weird. I had a few low days where I think I just felt really overwhelmed when I came back from Germany, and I had some other stuff going on. And I think because I found out about the siblings and then quickly found out that none of them were on the database. And I think I was just a bit like, what? And I hadn't seen my parents yet. But since I saw my parents, I've felt so much better. I think just having that chat with them, and like I said to them, I think just them understanding what I said made such a big difference, because, obviously there's nothing I don't want anyone to feel bad, because I'm not into guilt culture. I don't want anyone to feel bad for the decisions they've made. However, this was something that I wish I would have heard from them. I don't know if you're a donor conceived person watching this video, and because I found some on TikTok, but there wasn't an awful lot. Maybe it's because it's something very personal, and maybe a lot of people don't share it, so maybe I probably shouldn't be sharing this video. But to me, it's just like, this was a lie, and it's just like caused a bit of drama and a bit of, hurt. Whereas I think the truth doesn't have that same thing, and it's something that I'm trying to bring into my 30s more, just honesty. And trust me, from my 20s, from being queer, lies bring unhappiness. And I was watching an interview with Kerry Washington, and she found out in her 40s, and she said this beautiful thing about Now she can have a relationship with her dad and love that's in truth, whereas before it was always on this condition of a lie. And I thought that was really beautiful. And I understand how difficult it would have been for my parents, but I just needed them to hear from me how difficult it was to find out, one, in this strange way, while in Germany, from someone who I don't have any relationship with. So that was bizarre. But two, that I just needed them to understand that it is a big deal and it can't just be something. I just wanted to feel validated that I wasn't overreacting, because I feel like maybe that's how, and I still don't know how to react. Like, I feel like I have this like thing sometimes of feeling like I'm taking up space, but I've got to take up my space sometimes. Like, is it that, like, what good does it do to be pondering on it? I think that's the story I was like had grown up, and I do to some extent agree. But you got to face and deal with stuff going on, or you're not a donor conceived person and you're just interested. Then hello. I don't know whether I'm going to do more videos talking about this or not. I think it depends who responds to this, but maybe I will document. If I can find more information about the siblings. So I've got one more hope with 23andMe. I'm not that bothered about finding out who the donor is. As someone with health anxiety, the biggest thing that came to my mind was health stuff. Because I've heard my parents say in doctors' meetings before, there's no heart disease in the family. There's no this in the family. And now it's like, I don't know who this half of my DNA is. So it's less of like I wouldn't want a relationship with the donor person, I don't think. Well, I think I'm trying to, I think, maybe protect myself a little bit, and it's happened too soon. Of course, maybe I'd like to know who it is and talk to the person, to talk to the guy, but I don't think that's ever going to be an option. So I think there's a little layer of protecting myself there. But the thing that I wish I knew more than anything was medical stuff. And that's something that did cause a little bit of anxiety for me, because it was like, I don't know whose DNA I've got anymore. Like, what is their story? Like, I know nothing about any of the health stuff. So it did spark a little bit of health anxiety. More than anything, I think that came from the donor. And then I immediately knew I didn't care much about meeting the donor, but I do really want to know at least one of these half siblings. It's just, I think, for closure on the whole situation. And I think that could be a really nice outcome. I think there's a nice outcome that I'm going to have maybe a different relationship with my parents now, in a good way, based on truth, as Kerry Washington said. Still very soon that this has all happened. But I'm feeling really positive about it all. And truth is never a bad thing, so that's good. But I think that would be something that I'm not sure in the long run I'd struggle with. Like, I'm really surprised that there's been no matches on Ancestry or My Heritage, like not even close. Nothing on the HEFA. So my last chance is this 23andMe, or just hoping one day one of them realises they're donor conceived like me, even though they're the same age as me, and I already felt like I was quite old finding out. And maybe they seek out, or maybe one day if they already know, they change their mind and they want to know maybe who some of their other half siblings are. I think that would provide a bit of closure for me, because who are these people? Like, and I know I don't have a relationship with them, but I just think I would like to know who they are. Big overshare on today's video. But I hope it explains why I've been a little bit quieter on YouTube the last month, and why I've been been a bit more inconsistent with my posting. But this is going to be sort of back into it now, so I'm going to be posting back again from Friday, and then hopefully I'll be able to get back into my meditations on the Tuesdays, even though they weren't doing too well. I enjoyed doing them anyway, so even if no one's watching, I might just keep doing them, just to keep my own practice going. But yeah, if you're a donor conceived person and you found out later in life like me, please share below. There's a Facebook group called We Are Donor Conceived, where they can match you with a donor angel. So much mad stuff that I found out that I did not even know existed a few weeks ago. So it's all very bizarre. And they can help you sort of piece the dots together from there. So definitely join that group, and I shared my story, and you know, it just helped hearing what other people thought and that's what I'm kind of hoping from this, because I don't really know how to feel about it, and I feel good but also weird. Weird, I don't know why I said that, American, at the same time. So yeah. Let me know if you want to hear any more of following this part of the journey. If not, I'll be back on Friday with my regular videos, but I'll do an update on my hair, but here it is at the moment, that's why you're following. I've got some new music coming out on the 12th of September, a track called Lose Myself. Pre-save if you can, I'd really appreciate that. It's in my social bios and my link tree. It just takes 2 seconds to do, so yeah, I'd really appreciate that. I'm promoting my music on a video talking about being donor conceived. Wild. And yeah, I've got some other videos lined up about health anxiety and stuff like that. So and an update on like self-employment and stuff. I would love to just chat more about that, because I said I was going to do more updates about that. So yes, lots to update. But yeah, regular videos from Friday again. But yeah, a bit of a different video today. Thanks for watching.